In a world of mediocrity, 4 marketers dare to rise up, to challenge the status quo, and to leave their mark on society. These serial marketers deserve to be recognized, not for their amazing outfits, which by the way we are all definitely recognizing, but their talents when it comes to becoming the best of all time at what they do. And now, it's time to recognize them by name. Give it up for Orly Lewinter, Leo Morjon, Lady Kelly McCoy Williams, and Zach Rosga. Congratulations to everyone. We are so proud, excited, and thankful for the work that you've done and continue to do. Cheers to and a Happy New Year. Let's go even further in 2022. More coming soon.
Joseph Jaffe is not famous. I'm kind of famous. I'm Jerry Springer. And Jaffe is no host. He'd be lucky to be in my audience, let alone on my show. Well, maybe he's crazy enough to be on my show. I take that back. And that's not a good thing.
Am I being overconfident? Am I becoming complacent about complacency?
I think you are.
Oh, he's not the Messiah, he's just a very naughty boy.
Yeah, I've got big ears.
I just want to see anyone else. Piss off!
That's the one. Because you literally complete me, and we complete each other.
You've obviously encountered discrimination in your own life by virtue of being Australian.
Hey, Manuel Kemp was a real pissant who was very rarely stable.
I don't want to get too gushy, but I might just be saying you complete me, Dean. PNG now stands for Pritchard and Good.
Branding is not a bad blind date.
Look at you! You are insane!
How did I do that?
You're
How
insane!
Did I do that?
You're insane!
Well, you thought you were rid of me. You thought the show was over for the year. And here I am. I've returned to the scene of the crime to put in just one more show. And this is not just an ordinary show. This is an extraordinary show. It is a show specially dedicated to the amazing community that is known as serial marketers. And you will hear from David Berkowitz a little bit later. And David, did you notice, though, that the magenta color Pantone of my brand style guide is now the serial marketer style guide? I have hacked my own brand. And maybe that is what a modern marketer is all about. More on that shortly. But today's show, to this evening show, or maybe this morning show, depending on where you are, is really all about gratitude. It's an opportunity to say thank you to you, people that have been watching the show. The show is public right now on all my channels, but also to say thank you to every single member of the serial marketers, amazing community. And we will no doubt focus a lot on that today. So, speaking of thanks, it's free shipping day. Did you know that? December 14th is free shipping day. I guess that's one way that a brand can say thank you to their customers, because everybody loves the word free, don't they? And that's why there's going to be a lot of free giveaways tonight. One of the things, for those of you that are watching my show and subscribing to the show, you would know that there are always Jaffe coin to give away, and tonight is no exception, with a little bit of a twist. First of all, if you shine your smartphone on that QR code, you will be taken down a rabbit hole to the wonderland of crypto, and you will be able to get some Jaffe coin. And I'm actually going to do something different as well, which is if you do subscribe to my show, and why wouldn't you? But if you do subscribe to the show's channel at bit.ly/subscribe to the show, obviously I'm hoping that your username will be the same. Otherwise, contact me. I will 10x what I'm giving you as well. So instead of getting just a little bit of Jaffe coin, you will get 10 times the amount. Now, for considering this is a marketing show for marketers, by marketers, to marketers, That is also called cost per acquisition. And I think you would agree it is well worth the investment for us to build a relationship and continue that relationship together. And if you don't have time to put your phone, maybe you're watching on your phone, don't worry about it, because this QR code, you can go back and watch the show after the fact. This QR code will be live all the way through the end of the year. So you can sit back and you can relax and you can realize, actually, it's not last week's guest. You see, I'm only human. I'm not perfect. I mean, I think I'm perfect, but I'm clearly not perfect. But tonight, this week's guest, I guess it's the last week's guest. Maybe I should have just stuck with that. It's the last week's guest. Orly Lewinter, Leo Morochi, Lady Kelly McCoy Williams, and Zach Rosga, the very famous marketers in the serial marketer community, will be my very special guest. And we will be back on January 10th at our new time slot of 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So you can get that soup, you can get that sandwich, you can sit back, you can be educated, you can be enthralled, you can be entertained. This is a show at the end of the day about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing. Well, let's get on with the show. And tonight, I've written just for the serial marketers community a seated soliloquy that is called Modern Marketers. And certainly when I think of serial marketers, you guys just ooze modern marketing. But this is my take on what it is in 2021, approaching 2022, to be a modern marketer. What makes a modern marketer? Now, that's a question that I asked my NYU students last night as we wrapped up our fall semester brand strategy class. No doubt you have your unique ideas, but I would love to hear them. Maybe not now, but when we do. In fact, you can comment throughout this with your ideas, but here are mine. Number one, a modern marketer is a grinder. They grind with purpose. Now, that's an insight from my interview with Glenn Lundy. They also play the long game. That's from my conversation with Dory Clark. Endurance is a superpower, and it's made even more challenging when we work in a corporate environment that suffers from CTD, which is a corporate transmitted disease called short-termitis. Good news, everyone. It's not or doesn't have to be chronic. Number two, a modern marketer is a practitioner. As I often say, you can't understand the power of emerging platforms, practices, or technology from a book. Except mine. No, even mine. You have to roll up your sleeves and get your hands dirty. That's the only way you'll figure it out. Number three, a modern marketer is balanced. I have a simple 2x2 matrix, which I think speaks to the idea of equilibrium. Cut the worst of the old, keep the best of the old, embrace the best of the new, and reject the worst of the new. It is just that simple. Number four, a modern marketer is fluid. Now, this is a tough one for us because it implies that we are constantly in motion and shape-shifting like water. In a world where we are told, maybe I'll do it the movie phone way, in a world where we are told to control the controllables, the reality is that control is just an illusion. And so we need to be able to move with the current as opposed to doggedly and stubbornly fighting it. It doesn't end well. I guess that's what keeping current must mean. And finally, number five, a modern marketer is connected to their customer, to their employees, to their community. And I couldn't think of a better expression of this than serial marketers. You guys are no slackers. We're only as strong as our weakest community member. And at the end of the day, we will always prevail over me. Marketing is going through unprecedented times and challenges. Some people are calling for a post-marketing era, but let's make sure that they have to get through a post-modern marketing era first. To do so, we need to break through the clutter, but first we need to ensure that we are not part of the clutter or adding to the clutter itself. we have the ability to firmly demonstrate what we all know to be true. Great marketing and great marketers are not only a differentiator, we are the differentiators. So happy holidays to all of you, and I will see you guys in 2022. Well, it is now time to bring on our first guest. And I want to encourage you, I want to encourage you to comment along. And looks like we've got a comment. It's from Mr. David Berkowitz himself. He said, thanks everyone for joining us. Well, I guess he didn't want me to put this on, but I think probably it's a good idea. If you're not yet part of Serial Marketers and want to learn more, just visit serialmarketers.net. More on that soon. But let's go to our first guest, Orly Lewinter. Let me tell you a little bit about her. Orly is an accomplished marketing strategist, brand engagement specialist, and organizational architect. She has created sustainable growth infrastructure and strategies for some of the world's most iconic brands and some of its newest and most promising ones too. Let's welcome her to the show. Guest number one, she has decided to lead off. Orly, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
And so any trepidation about going first?
Yeah, I don't know what you're going to ask me, so let's roll the dice.
Listen, going first is great. It's first mover advantage. I think probably the only time you don't want to go first is in the penultimate game in Squid Games. That turned out to be a pretty poor decision. So throughout, we're going to see comments coming in from LinkedIn, etc. But right now, we have an extensive budget here on the show. And one of the things that we invest in is private investigators. And the whole idea is for the private investigator to go into the field and find out something interesting. We want to know who the real Orly Lewinter is. And we actually found out, and this is a shocking revelation in what we call fun facts. But we found out that, in fact, you are an ex-rugby player. And there you are, I think, in
that
the World Cup.
All 5'3" of me.
And so, I'm guessing scrum half?
Outside center.
Outside center. So you have pace, you have agility, all the things that a modern marketer needs,
super
right?
Important for a marketer.
So do you play any rugby anymore?
I do not. My body's not up for that anymore.
All right. Do you watch rugby?
Don't have time for that either.
I know that's probably another thing about being a modern marketer, which is no time.
Always on.
How do you time manage? Orly, the way that we're basically going to run this as we get to know these four rock stars is to look back on 2021 and then to be able to look ahead to 2022. And so I thought it would be good to say, like, when you look back on the year that was, what stood out for you, whether it's a personal level, a professional level, even from an industry standpoint? What stood out to you as a highlight and a low light of the year that soon will be in our rearview mirror?
Yeah, I mean, it was certainly a crazy year. I don't know how many parents are among the listeners of this show, but as someone with 3 kids, juggling, homeschooling and work at the same time, I think on a personal level, that was probably both a highlight and a low light. Learning new strategies for doing those kinds of things and connecting with my family in a way that I really had never done before. So I think that was a little bit of a silver lining of the craziness that we parents had to endure this year. On a personal level, my consulting business really just took off, and the ability to work with so many brands steering them through these incredibly challenging times was obviously extremely difficult. There were a lot of surprises at all times, but I think that I grew as a marketer and as a professional, and feel really grateful for the opportunity to. I mean, it's kind of crazy to say, but grateful for the opportunity to be doing this kind of work at this time.
So when you talk, you mentioned two things that I thought were very interesting. One is you spoke about surprises, and then the other one is you said you spoke about learning new skills. So I'd like to ask you, what was one of those surprises, whether it was a pleasant or an unpleasant surprise? How did you react to that? And then secondarily, what is one of these skills that you've picked up over the last couple years that you believe makes you a better marketer today?
Well, the operational challenges that a lot of brands and businesses have gone through over the last year have really been pretty intense. As a marketer, I never really had to think too deeply about the supply chain and inventory. And this year, I really had to balance. I wasn't just a marketer. I was really like an operational sort of navigator, or I had to take into account how my marketing was impacting the operations of these companies and vice versa, and having to pull back or push up marketing efforts based on what was going on in the supply chain was something totally new to me. And I think provided an awareness of the ecosystem that I really hadn't had before.
And what about this? I mean, I suppose you've almost answered the second question, the skill, which is this modern marketing skill set of being able to be adaptable and multilingual when it comes to whether it's finance, operations, marketing, logistics, supply chain. I mean, who would ever think marketing would be having a conversation about supply chain?
Yeah,
So
I think it's
is
really
that
interesting. A lot of marketers, it's very rare to see like the CMO grow into a CEO role. The CEO typically of a company comes from, COO, CFO, those more operational sides of the business. And I think they're really, it happens occasionally, but I think we're really poised to see a sea change in that. One, because brand has become so much more important to a company's success. It really is much more central than it ever has been before, both from a valuation standpoint and just a consumer standpoint. And also because the role of the marketer is really changing. And I think, as the marketer becomes more entwined with the more operational sides of the business, you're going to be seeing that a lot more.
just a fantastic response? Matt Worst is here, and he said, operations, left brain, marketing, right brain. Put the two of them together and you have the whole brain. Welcome to the club, Orly. So you get applause because you're part of the club right now. So, I'm going to hold the predictions until we all come back together. Spoiler alert, we're all coming back together at the end of this, because this conversation really has just, you've set the tone. You've raised the bar. Can Leo even be able to eclipse you? I don't know if it's possible, but he's going to try. If you want to find Orly and continue the conversation with her, don't look on the rugby field because she will not be there. You can follow her on Twitter, Instagram, or Clubhouse on Orly Beth, at Orly Beth. I love the fact that you own all of your names as well. Better make sure that you go and register orlybeth.eth before a squatter takes it. But we'll talk about crypto later. Orly, thank you so much for coming on, and congratulations. And you see, there was a nice little
Truly
chime.
a pleasure.
I guess that's your audio. That's your audio. What do you call it? Sonic branding.
Yeah.
We will see you soon. Well, that was Lewinter, and now it is time for our second guest. And of course, we're talking about Leo Morechon. He's been working, I mean, he really is a serial marketer, 15 years experience in the agency, tech, and brand side. You can see another very versatile marketer. Just to let you know, I spoke about 10xing Jaffe coin, but there is also something that no doubt, if you're part of the community, you know very much and very well about CMO coin to be given away. I'm calling this free parking. You're landing on free parking tonight. 5 CMO coins, excuse me, for the first 25 viewers who claim it. Just go to bit.ly/Jaffe cereal. This is like brought to you by Kellogg's. There's so much cereal here. And I will also put that link in the comments below. So you can take advantage of not one, but 2 crypto coins. I work very well when David Berkowitz is very close to me. So I've just put that in the comments below. Well, let's find out a little bit about Leo. Leo Morechon is a successful social media marketing and sales leader known for distinctions such as the first social media Guinness World Record, most Facebook likes, pioneering real-time marketing while working on campaigns, including the Oreo Super Bowl blackout tweet. This man is royalty, and leading sales enablement at SaaS companies in leadership roles. Leo also teaches at the university level and hosted the show Prove It Matters. Leo, I'm not even sure that I want to ask you about 2021 or 20. I just want to know about hosting game shows, and you are a multifaceted, interesting man.
We could talk about that all day long. It's been an amazing adventure developing Prove It Matters and actually putting it out there, and getting the guests and having everybody respond back to what we're doing. So for those that may not know, for the show, basically what happens is someone comes on the show, they pick a topic like influencer marketing, and we debate. So I thought, let me just say a lot of what people are thinking about. Or if you're in a sales room, there are things that people are thinking but not actually telling you. Let me just say it. So I actually put up my phone. All of a sudden the timer comes on and you have to debate me. So it's an interesting show. It's been fun.
I love it. And I feel that we need more debate in society.
Yes.
And we also need to not just respectfully disagree with one another, but actually be okay. Like I do this now. If somebody says to me on a panel, I actually disagree with you.
Yeah.
I let them disagree and I don't respond, because everyone feels the need to have to then defend themselves. It's like, I gave a point of view, you gave your point of view, there are different points of view. Why not respect and allow the audience to make their mind up?
I agree. And you're also giving more respect to the audience because you're giving them the ability to think, and you know that they could think, right? You don't have to tell them. Don't speak at them.
And you just bring up something else as well, which is this idea that modern marketers could actually learn from that insight that you just said, which is to realize your consumer, your customer, they're part of the whole ecosystem. It's not us versus them, right? It's we.
Yeah. For a long time, I've stopped using any kind of war terminology or Sun Tzu or anything like that in the marketing or business world, because it's not war, right? It's about working together. It's about understanding one another. It's about growing together, whether that's with the consumer, whether that's a business partner or whatnot. I don't want to say, let's go to war, right? Let's get out there and kill them. Like, no. And also, even when it comes to competition, we could work with the competition. We could work together. Someone else's success doesn't necessarily take away from your success. There's plenty of pie out there to eat.
And I love the fact that you just, you spoke about this idea of war terminology. Of course, the elements of marketing are, we call our consumers targets, right? And we brand them like cattle. So maybe in all of this is this ability to invent or maybe reinvent a new set of words that describes maybe a better marketing value proposition.
I couldn't agree more. Words matter, as we know, as marketers, right? So why wouldn't we be using the words that make the most impact for us, our organizations, and the people out there? If we're talking to them as targets and cattle, we're not doing a good job. We could be doing better.
Well, let's put marketing aside for a second, and let's settle a score here, which is, you've apparently never seen The Wizard of Oz because it scared you as a child. Now, I just want to say that I hope I don't scare you now with that image, because Trust me, it was scary creating it as well. I mean, that Tin Man, he's a scary, what I would say, he's a scary. So, that's another of my little audio toys. We'll change that. We'll take that away.
I like it though. And it's, my namesake in a way, the lion.
That is true. Leo the lion. And I love the fact that we're actually getting comments on LinkedIn from people that are actually in our green room, like the very famous Zachary Rosga.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Leo Moroccan, that is well said. There is enough pie out there for all of us.
Mr. Zachary?
Can you believe it? We can expand our piece of the pie, or we can expand the entire pie, or we could just make more pie. So, there you go. So what I'd like to do as well is look back, or have you look back on 2021. What did you take away from this year that changed you, that influenced you, maybe that you'll carry over into 2022?
Yeah. Personally speaking, I really learned to, and I'll say seriously meditate. I thought I've been meditating for many, many, many years and improving in my consciousness and understanding my emotional intelligence. And this year is when I really realized I wasn't doing a good job of that. And being able to meditate and come inside to myself and take a pause and really be aware of everything that's happening internally and externally in my brain, everything happening in the world and in the room has really helped me. And I think your story earlier about being on stage and someone disagreeing with you, I think that's all part of it, right? So in the past, I might have been able to not pause and I wanted to go ahead and attack and respond. But nowadays, I hope that I'm getting better and I'll have the moment to pause, center myself, and kind of respond accordingly. And I think it's important. You brought up also a good point where about feeling like you have to respond. You don't always have to respond. Not responding is always perfect answer too.
Yeah, slow it down. And I've always said, the ultimate level when it comes to this idea of social media responsiveness is when you don't have to respond. Why? Because your community responds on your behalf.
Yep.
That remains. I wrote that in 2007 when I wrote Join the Conversation. And you know what? It is as true now. And not only is it true, but it's actually being enabled now in this Discord-enabled world.
And it'll always be true.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. Caitlin Taylor is watching, and she said, couldn't agree more. That really stood out to me. So Zachary and Caitlin are in cahoots. You are the pie master, my friend.
It seems like we're baking some pies here. I like it.
Why wouldn't we as well? Last question for you, and then we'll see you again for when we bring everyone back together. When I was looking at some of the documents before the show, it's very clear to me that you are all about not new for the sake of new, but this idea of evolution. Like, let's get better, let's get smarter, let's get wiser. So whether it's new ways to talk, new ways to communicate, new ways to work, this very important point that your success and my success are not. Then it's not zero sum. We can both be successful. So I'd love you to share just a thought on that idea, this idea that we actually can and must do better.
Yeah. Look, I could say a lot of the same things people have always said. Obviously, we're all unique. We all have an individual story. We all support one another. But it's so true, right? Like, we all bring a different piece to that pie. We could all be a cook helping make the pie better. And we deserve that. I think from an ethical perspective, if you're doing better, I think part of your responsibility as a human, as someone in the society, is to actually give back. And giving back could be in many different ways, whether you're doing it at your job every single day, whether you're donating, whether you're mentoring, right? Giving back doesn't always have to be just one thing. So if you were lucky enough to be born at this time, you were lucky enough to do what we do, you were lucky enough to be successful, to be asked on shows with a platform, then I think it is your responsibility to give back in any way that you possibly can. Again, and I'll reinforce, giving back doesn't have to be necessarily donating to a charity, which it can be, right? And part of the pie there, but it could also be, like I said, mentoring someone or just treating someone right that is coming up underneath you on your team.
Very well said. And you can follow Leo on the Twitter at more Leo, because who wouldn't want more Leo in their life? It's a rhetorical question because it's an obvious one. Caitlin says, meditation has transformed my life so much over the last year. Great point. I loved what you said at the end, and you get the first official air horn. So thank you for that contribution, and
Yes.
we will see you shortly.
Thank you.
Well, we are moving right along now, and now it is time for not just a marketer, but in fact, a lady. We're talking about Lady Kelly McCoy Williams, and a little bit about her. Lady Kelly McCoy Williams is a business development executive and startup veteran in digital marketing technology. Her professional background includes over 20 years of digital marketing, business development experience, and complements her genealogical work. Kelly lives in Chicago and is a widow and mother of 2 daughters. She's the founder of the elegant pop-up white attire party, Chicago in White, for the past 10 years. The 2022 will be the 10th edition. She has a BA in political science from Bowling Green University, and most recently, she featured on Joseph Jaffe is Not Famous. Let's welcome her to the show. Kelly, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
I have to say that I got to tell you that I've never had so much fun with a Google Doc pre-briefing document where you and I were like having like, I don't know, verbal sparring. You were writing, I was like, no, could you do this? And you're like, how's that? And is that better? And I'm like, okay. And different colors and different fonts. And I, immediately said, I need to spend more time with this lady.
Thank you.
So
awesome to be here.
Now you need to tell me about being a lady.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I know you're a lady, but lady in your title.
Right. That's right. Where did it really come from? So actually, you mentioned a little bit, I think it blurted out on me, but I am a genealogist. It's one of my passions. And after doing my DNA and intensively building out my lineage, I have discovered that I descend from about 80 ladies from either England or Scotland. And so I thought it was appropriate, particularly to take on a persona to get me through this last 2 years. And so I bought a little plot in Scotland, so it is official. And I can use the lady title on my driver's license as well as on my passport. So there it is.
And you are, speaking of family trees, we also found out through extensive archiving and research that you are a direct descendant of Geoffrey Chaucer. Now, we actually were able to get a photo, believe it or not, and the resemblance is uncanny.
It's uncanny. It's so there. That's right. Wonderful.
It's unbelievable. I'm assuming that was a great grandmother. Or either that or you're a vampire. So
it's actually he's my 18th great grandfather. So yes.
Wow, that is amazing. So we're not going to find out about what Geoffrey Chaucer could teach us about marketing. Instead, I'm going to ask you, what did you take away from 2021? What was a highlight or a low light for you?
I'll start with the highlight. I always like to begin on positives. I think one of the things I observed across marketing in organizations and people was just that literally the world became agile. This way of operating that was, kind of a cottage mindset for developers and tech companies actually spread around the world because we all had to react very quickly and be agile and time box and break things up into small little bite-sized chunks and all those elements that are kind of core to agile. Literally, I think the entire world now has that as a part of their, well, I won't say DNA, but I think it's a behavior that so many people have adopted, and organizations as well, because of what was required of us. We were pushed to do more in less time, and to continually to include people and to be transparent and all of those things that maybe we weren't so much before. I think the pandemic did push the world in that direction.
It's interesting because when you spoke about this idea of doing more with less, we normally think about that in terms of marketing budget, but you're actually talking about time as well, realizing how time starved we are and how we need to multitask and learn new skills. And I think inarguably, maybe arguably or inarguably, what is more precious than money is time.
Absolutely. And I one thing that happened this year from the standpoint of kind of how did that agile piece show up? I believe that there's a way to adapt great principles of agile in other parts of enterprises. And I introduced a daily stand with a group of people who didn't do a daily stand. And it was difficult, for folks were late or maybe they didn't show but now it's a habit. And now they say it takes 30 days. And so even just having that daily stand of, what are you working on? What did you get done? What needs to happen? And that kind of very clear, concise conversation around that has really propelled momentum and really invigorated folks because of this new ritual that we have as part of our daily method.
So there's a very interesting balance, speaking of, a modern marketer's balance, but you actually spoke about this idea of agility, which I think this is why you and I were probably separated at Jeffrey Chaucer birth. But the idea of, I spoke about fluidity, you spoke about agility, and I always think about us as floating in the ocean, which is like you just have to go with the current, and the more you fight, the quicker you're going to go down. So you got fluidity and agility on one side, but then you've got this idea of rituals and habits and consistency. And at the end of the day, isn't that what brands and branding is all about? It's about consistency.
Absolutely. And I think, I come from the business development and sales side, but I do wear a bit of a dual hat because within our organization, we have flattened out our organization, and sales and marketing are actually one. It's such a novel idea. And in doing so, marketers don't know sales as well and vice versa. So when you put them together, it forces the combined entity to have to flow because there's a lot that either side doesn't know and they have to learn from each other.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, that picks up on, it's amazing how things come together. It picks up on what Orly was saying, which is the ability to be more versatile, right? I mean, that is agility too. It is the ability to be a generalist. We can be specialists in marketing, but we have to be generalists in business and understanding how it all comes together. The integrator. Why shouldn't marketing be the integrator?
Absolutely. Because I think there's a lot of belief around where marketing should sit, its level of importance in the role. But I think that, marketing in so many ways is like a mirror. And when it's done well, when marketing mirrors the needs of the customer gets what they want, right? And I think that's the change in position where it's less so father knows best, but it's more so how well can we listen? How well can we learn? And I think that is part of the shift in mindset that's occurred over this tumultuous last year.
Yeah, no more father knows best. Sorry, all the fathers out there. That was a showstopper of a statement. I'm going to have to go back and timestamp 40 minutes on the clock. Lady Kelly McCoy Williams, we will see you back shortly.
Awesome. Thank you.
Well, if they say the best is yet to come, he's going to have to prove to us that statement is accurate, because we are talking about the one and only Zachary Rosga, the founder and CEO of Thies. A little bit about Zachary, or Zach, and then we'll get him on. Zach is a lifelong entrepreneur and the founder and CEO of Thies. He has founded both highly successful product and agency companies at home and abroad. His approach comes from a global perspective. He's worked in over 50 countries and is based on providing the best consumer experience. He is on a mission to help live stream content creators build recurring revenue by facilitating easy, scalable brand buys for the game viewing audience. He spends every day helping brands, esports team owners, and content creators partner in meaningful ways for their mutual benefit. I think I might be hiring him to help monetize my live stream. Zachary, you're looking for new clients?
We're always looking for new clients.
Well, I don't know if I can afford you, but I can barter in streaming minutes. But yeah, I mean, this is we'll come back to this actually when we come together, because I know Kelly, for example, she's focused on the creator economy as well. But monetization, I think that's got to be a big part of marketing now, which is realizing that the way we paid residual, even the way agencies are compensated, compensation, I feel like, is almost it is the cog right now. It's the nucleus of the future of business.
I mean, I would have to agree with you completely. And I mean, I'll start off by saying it's really hard going fourth. I think Orly was complaining about going first. It's really hard following the other three people. But back to your question.
Well, I'll tell you what, would it make you feel better if I gave you a nice, beautiful border?
Yes, actually, that helps a lot. That
All right.
calms me down. It's like some of the meditation. To your question, though, I think what we're seeing right now, and this is, it kind of leads a little bit into what's the future look like, is that there's this overlap between creator and economy and e-commerce. And really, we haven't figured it out yet. They're doing things differently in Asia. They're doing things differently in Europe. And we're actually pretty far behind when it comes in the US, when it comes to like direct relationships between a live stream and commerce. And I think what is really, fascinating about where we are in 2021 is that there is this opportunity right now to rethink what we're doing, because we've all been sort of stuck in stall for about a year plus, that when we do come back, which I think is going to happen in 2022, people could come back fresh and come back with a new approach. That's really like my perspective on it.
I think it's so important, because the big part of this great resignation is burnout. Burnout is in the center of it. So it is imperative that we all figure out a way, whether it's meditation, whatever, we've got to come back refreshed, reinvigorated, and full mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. Otherwise, we're going to fall like flies.
And I think one of the reasons we're seeing burnout in marketing is because some of the tried and true things that we knew and we were required to do, and it was just rote, and programmatic advertising and, behavioral targeting is not working anymore. Just throw it in the stack, give it to Facebook is not really converting anymore. And so I think people are like, well, that's what I knew what to do. That's what I did do at this job. And it's not of value anymore. And so what am I doing? And so I think that's a contributing factor to people looking at like what they do on a day-to-day basis and saying like, do I really want to keep doing that? Or is there something new for me? Is there a new path forward? And that's kind of the things that we've been coming across.
It's really interesting. It's almost this idea of, insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. But actually, what we can add to that, it's not so much the insanity, it's the fact that it's actually leading to burnout, because we're going back to an old, tired playbook. And that's not giving us energy. That's not giving us the passion to want to leap out of bed in the morning like an entrepreneur or a startup founder might. So we need to bring that back, I think, into marketing.
One of the things I think we have to consider is what you kind of led to my intro, though, is like, how do people make money in this now? this whole fact of monetization, because I mean, the agencies have lost the power of like their margin. And so sometimes they do things that they may not want to do, or they may not think is in the best interest of their clients, just because they got to stay in business. I mean, they are a business, they're not a charity. And so there are things that they need to do to keep margin in place that might not be the most beneficial. And so I think there's a shakeup of how good creative connects to audience that then creates the attribution that occurs with the purchase. And some of those things might not be a linear path like they have been in behavioral and programmatic. And so that's kind of what I'm seeing as the dawning of a new era. And I actually thought it would happen in 2021 because I thought we'd lose the cookie, and that didn't happen for whatever reason in the powers that be. But I do think it is coming, and so there will need to be a shift in the way marketers look at and think about the way they connect the audience.
So you've just solved the riddle, which is who stole the cookie from the cookie jar. Turns out nobody did.
No,
because Google closed it and locked it.
It's still sitting there. It's still bearing all its wonderful fruit.
Well, we're going to bring everyone back shortly. But before we do, if you thought that you were getting away with a fun fact about you, you are sorely, sorely mistaken. What's interesting is you've been to over 50 countries and over, 22 in Africa. I mean, that is to me quite amazing, I have to say. Now, I, being a South African, being an African myself, I've only been to South Africa and maybe 2 days to Namibia. What was your best African country that you visited or worked in?
My best is a hard. That's a hard determinant. I would say my favorite, which I think is different than the best, would be Tanzania.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, I mean, I spent a lot of time in Tanzania. I traveled probably further and farther afield in Tanzania, and it has the most diversity, has the best wildlife, has the most friendly people. It's by far my favorite. That being said, Africa is so big, and West Africa is so fundamentally different from East Africa, is so fundamentally different from Southern Africa, and North Africa is its own and unique and distinct culture. So there's a place for everybody. But my favorite personal, if I was ever to say I only have one trip to Africa, every time I say go to Tanzania.
Well, unfortunately for you, had you said South Africa, I would have sent you a free NFT. But unfortunately, you blew the question. But it's okay. There will be redemption. Let's bring our guests back, starting with Orly, and then in order we had Leo, Lady Kelly, and I feel like someone is missing. I know, Mr. David Berkowitz. David, welcome back to the show.
Well, thank you for having me back and having 4 of my closest serial marketers.
Well, I told you there's a lot of serial on this as well. It's the first time you and I are even, looking at each other face to face. We've shared many intimate moments on the show as well, where we've gotten to know each other. One of the things that stuck with me is the idea of hope you are well. How you despise the saying hope you're well in an email. What an amazing insight. But as we say in South Africa, I wish you long life. And I don't know if you saw at the start of the show that we've dedicated this to your late father.
Yeah, well, thank you for that. And yeah, I do realize how life just comes at you in all kinds of different ways, and there's a lot to celebrate, and it's been really touching to see just the kinds of people, even actually opening my mailbox and receiving a few letters I was definitely not expecting from just some very different kinds of people and kinds of folks who are sharing memories about my father, and so to be able to really celebrate a life very, very, very fully lived, and then continue on that legacy. It's pretty great to be able to share that with others.
Well, we're glad we're with you tonight, and if you are watching online. Remember that you can get a CMO coin. All you have to do is follow that link, bit.ly/Jaffe Cereal, or that QR code that you've seen throughout. I'm not going to put it on, otherwise it will basically take up half of Ollie's head. So we won't do that. There is one more little gift for you guys potentially, and I mean you guys that are staring at me in the screen right now, because you are guests on my show. I will send you my holiday NFT. So I decided what would be very interesting is, instead of sending a card, an e-card, a tchotchke like a USB stick, I would send a limited edition NFT, and this is what it looks like.
What is love? Baby, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me no more.
And those are basically all my guests that have been on the show since I recovered from heart surgery. So let's go round the room, and now we can get to one question that I didn't get to ask you, which is, everybody wants to prognosticate and talk about, make a prediction. I would love to hear from each of you a prediction for 2022, or just something that you are excited about, that you are kind of looking forward to, that's going to be big in 2022. So who wants to go first? Should I?
Yeah.
I think you should spin the dial.
Yeah, there we go. Wait, is it the same for everybody? That's Berkey.
That's Berkey. David, make a prediction. It's like you're writing for Media Post.
It's less about the prediction, and it's just more like, I mean, there are just so many ways where I think that hunger of getting people in the same room together I mean, just seeing what's going to come out of this. I'm glad that we're going to have a lot more flexibility coming out of this. I'm glad that folks like parents and caretakers, people are caring for older relatives, that there's just going to be a lot more understanding right now of that people are going through all kinds of different situations. And how look, like people literally don't know whether to send condolences to me or congratulate me, and might even feel awkward saying one without the other. And it's kind of a beautiful thing. It's just life, right? But this is, to be able to celebrate just the act of living together in person, I can't wait for so much more of that. As a lot of us just find ways to overcome things and celebrate. I just have to add that as far as looking back on 2021, I can't reflect enough how the speed at which the COVID vaccine was created and delivered might be the greatest miracle any of us witness in our lifetimes. And so to be present for that, and as much hurt as there's been out there, and as much hurt as we might have experienced personally, let alone just witness out there, like that is about as close to miraculous as anything I will probably ever see, and definitely most that I've seen on a large scale. And so there's been a lot, and what that can do in turn for the malaria vaccine in Africa and to just more broadly around the world, the kind of ripple effects that's going to have. I'm just excited and really optimistic about what's ahead.
Well, and Zach will hand deliver it to Africa for you. So Orly, we'll put you up next, and we'll go back in order. What is a trend or something that you are looking forward to in 2022? A prediction, you name it.
Let's see. Well, I was going to go with the more in-person, face-to-face, real-life experiences, community building. David stole that one from me. I'm going to actually talk about something on the design side. I'm not a designer. I don't have a design background, but as a marketer, you're obviously very, attuned to where brand and world design is going. And I think we're going to see a move towards more organic and natural and soothing colors, shapes, experiences, product design, package design, like just much more human centric and designed to sort of take the anxiety level down for everything that people are experiencing. I think we all need more of that. There's been for the last 5-10 years, even a trend toward, after the minimalism of the sort of D2C space, there's really been a trend towards like craziness in design, neon colors, a lot of different things going on. And I think after what we've all experienced and are still experiencing, I think the design world is going to sort of turn the dial down quite a bit.
What a perfect segue to Leo, because we see all these various designs with bored apes, with mutant apes, with all of these incredible PFP collections. I'm not putting words in your mouth, but certainly we're seeing design making a major play in the whole Web3 space. But what are you looking forward to in 2022?
Sure. So I think 2022 is going to be one of the best years, if not the best year yet, for nonprofits and or the organizations that take in and run on donations. Look at what's happening in the world. Specifically, let's choose NFTs or crypto or DeFi, decentralized finance. People are earning more interest in their investments than they have ever before. Nonprofits could take advantage of this. There's wealth being created by people creating their own coins and having their own coins and exchanging their own coins. Why can't nonprofits actually join in on this? They can, right? And they should. And the technology, not even from a Web3 perspective, I think also just general technology and how it's scaling and how easy it's getting to be in the hands of small businesses. It's really going to be such an amazing time for nonprofits and mission-based organizations.
That's a fantastic response. And sometimes we're certainly witnessing the fact that right now, as I said, we are in the we phase as opposed to the me or the you or I phase. Lady Kelly, what are you excited about as we go into 2022?
Sure. I'm excited about a lot of things, but if I had to name what's at the top of my list, I definitely would call out multi-sensory, immersive experiences that brands have been gravitating more and more towards. And then really that convergence of, and I don't even know if I say it right, but I think this is going to be more of a well-known word, but the phygital world, where we're blending digital in the physical world. We're going to see a proliferation of that. You're going to see more and more QR codes on commercials. You're going to see QR code. Like someone said the other day, they were like, "Oh, I thought those went away." Nope, they're coming back with a vengeance. And we haven't even begun to chip at the applications that are available. But I'm most excited about the ability to take this television world that for the last 60 years has been this fixed thing. And now literally I sit watching television and I'm scanning codes. I want to learn more. I want, show me something new, surprise and delight me. A lot of marketers have been slow to this, but I think next year is going to be a big year.
Well, listen, if I ever came face to face with someone who was a physical person, it might be a little scary for me. And when we add virtual, it would be a verphygical.
I love that word, by the way. I don't know if I can ever say it.
It's a cute
I
one.
love the world.
But what about virtual as well? Then it would be vertigo. No, I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I can't do it. Yeah.
Zachary, are you ready to bring us home?
If I take myself off of mute, yes. I guess that's a good segue from Kelly, because basically my platform rests upon using QR codes, because what I'm looking forward to most in 2022 is that all of you beautiful marketers out there will now have a new way to reach 18 to 34-year-olds with contextual targeting that leverages QR codes for a non-interruptive ad experience in the live stream. So Kelly, everything you said is exactly what we've been working on in 2021. We're taking it mainstream here in 2022. And, I think one of the things that I didn't get to talk about in my time that I do just kind of want to bring attention to, and I don't want to end on a downer, but I think one of the downsides that we've had with the last 2 years being locked in our homes due to the global not pandemic is
Patricia. We call her Patricia.
Patricia, climate change is real, guys. And it's, I mean, we just had a tornado in the middle of the night in Kentucky in December. I'm here in Seattle. I took a picture of a heat dome at 117. We've never even remotely come close to that in this part of the world. So I know that we want to end on a positive, upbeat note. And I know we've talked a lot about health and wellness, but if we don't take care of our world, the place that we reside, none of this really matters. Like I just feel remiss if we don't mention that, because I feel like we've spent so much time talking about cures and Patricia that we've lost sight of the fact that 2021 was by far the most severe and most extreme we've had as a globe. And I mean, this might come from my time spending in Africa, where it was early and we were seeing the effects of climate change early in the early 2000s, but it's now caught up to us everywhere. And I feel like somebody who came from travel and loves going to places and loves seeing new places, like, we got to look at our backyard and our home. And so I want to make a call out that we need to pay attention.
Yeah. We'll all applaud you. We will end on a high, because for all the challenges and all of the uncertainty and all of the volatility in this world, where we are we do our best to survive, to thrive personally, professionally. What the world needs is not just marketers, but supermarketers, modern marketers. And I think you are all what I would consider to be superheroes. So I have one more image for you. And that to me is basically the combination of what happens when we form community, when we come together, and when we unite with our own individual superpowers for a better good for humankind as well. Leo, I have to apologize that you just got cut off and you got the short stick, but you are Captain America. You can't complain with that, surely.
I am not complaining one bit.
Joe, are you inside the Iron Man costume? Please tell me, because can't think of a better one for that. And also, I mean, with a heart like Iron Man's, you've got to be there.
There is definitely a heart in there, but thankfully my heart is still my heart and not an artificial one, etc. When they asked me if I wanted a cow or a pig's heart, I said no, thank you. I took mechanical if I had to have one, just because I wanted to be a little bit more like Iron Man. But thankfully, it didn't happen. But thankfully, I got to share December 14th with you wonderful people. We are friends now forever. Take advantage of the coin. I can't wait to send you the NFT as well. David, there's so much I need to send you and want to send you, but the most important thing that I want to do is give you a giant bear hug when we see each other in New York City, hopefully sooner rather than later. So Orly, Leo, Lady Kelly, and Zach, we celebrated you tonight. Hopefully some other serial marketers next time. Just happy holidays, and just be safe out there.
Thank you for a great show.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You're welcome, which leaves us with just one man. David, what should people look forward to from a serial marketer standpoint in 2022?
Well, I think what's exciting is, we want to keep building on some of the partnerships, start building on the community growth. I think it's very fair to say on my second day in a new job, having just joined Media Ocean, leading communications and corporate marketing over there.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And so yeah, it's been quite a month, but on so many levels. And so anyway, what was one of the fun things with Media Ocean is, as I was talking to their CMO, Aaron Goldman, who I'm sure a lot of your viewers know, and just a legend in the marketing world. So Aaron said to me, he's like, it's great that you're talking about this role. Let's talk about this. By the way, also would love serial marketers to co-host our lounge at CES. So And it was one of those funny things where it's like, okay, if the job worked out, and I had no clue if it would when we started that conversation, then hey, great, we'll still be a great friend of Media Oceans and give a place for members of the community to connect. If it did work out, it would make a lot of sense to have the Serial Marketers logo on their site. And Aaron actually was the very first sponsor of my own newsletter when he was with 4C Insights that got acquired by Media Ocean. And so he's been a big believer in the content and community from the very earliest days, and was like, you have to keep this going. And that's the only kind of place that I joined. So being able to have an added perch like this, being able to explore other partnerships. Prohaska Consulting was a sponsor of a First Wednesday event. They're also part of the Media Ocean Lounge, and we're talking about, okay, it's like how do we just bring everyone together, right? How do we just bring a lot of great people together, provide more resources for the community, and build on this, and have just incredible members like the 4 you saw there. All 4 of them also have something in common in that they also taught me something about the value of my own community, and in very different ways than that I didn't see before. And that's why I was like, please, like, can I involve you even more? Can I turn to you even more? Because you're seeing things that I didn't. That's their job as marketers, but it's also their role as fellow humans who I just can't speak highly enough of.
That is the power of diversity on every level, a different perspective, a different superpower, a different skill. That is truly what that the adage of the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. David, you were guest number 85 on my show. I'm now at 309, which clearly means I'm a masochist. But it's so great to have you back. You're actually 309, 310. I was going to say 3010. This was wonderful. And now that you actually have a day job, media, if Media Ocean's looking for, I don't know, a streamer, a host for some CS. I think Chris Brogan is available. So, oh no, wait, he's got a job as well. David, it's been, listen, it's almost as good as the real thing, which is seeing you in person. But we will do that soon. And I just want to congratulate you on everything you do. You're a good man with a huge, huge heart. It fills me with so much warmth when I see your Instagram photos, your relationship with your daughter. You really, really are a good guy. And it's not just coming from me, my friend. It's actually coming from Chuck Norris.
You are Chuck Norris approved.
Not only are you Chuck Norris approved, but Orly, Zach, Leo, and Lady Kelly are. Goodbye, everybody. Happy holidays. I will not be back until January 10th. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you for watching the show about hope, positivity, optimism, and if there's time left over, a little bit of marketing with your host, multiple author, and global keynote speaker, Joseph Jaffe. If you like the show, tell a friend or two. Please subscribe to the show, and if you want to get inside news, previews of upcoming guests, and much more, visit josephjaffe.com/subscribe to sign up for the show's newsletter.
And despite the best ministrations of your wife, you still look ugly.